It's Incremental Science Part 3. This is me showing you the connection in between the universe and us, the similarities, and what happens to the energy and the true motion of the universe. Before I get into this, you only get to see what people show you or what they want you to see as far as what the universe looks like. And this is the lightest way I can explain it to you, but on a real visual, if you was truly looking at the universe, what we see when we look in the night sky is not what we see. If you pull down the night sky right outside of that visual of what we think is the night sky, there are giant circular orbits. They kind of look golden, and they're very close to each other. It's like almost like a beaded chain or like a pearl necklace. But they're very large, and you wouldn't understand what that was if you was to look at it. So just keep that in mind while I'm explaining these things to you, okay? Now, we're going to start from the divine aspect. The divine, because this is going to be the most complicated aspect for you to understand. The divine aspect. Divine, if you can look at space, if you was able to look at space, and the closest idea I can explain is what a black hole is because it's created from the divine. So the counterparts or the feminine aspect would be an image to the divine. So the divine's image, or the creational space where the divine is, it's in nothing. It's in the same place where the ether is. So if I was to take space and break it and open it like this, if I was just to take a piece of space with my hands and break it open, in between those two sheets of space that I broke open would be where creation is, and would be where the etheric river is. How am I sure that this is reality? Because this is what created the first creation, which was the black hole, or the womb, the great womb. And when a great womb is created, her DNA aspects are able to transmute energy from one place in a dimension to another. That means she can go through the space where her creator created her. That's her DNA aspect. So if I combine the power of the creator and where it came from with the fact that the creator created this in his first creation, which was the womb, the great womb, then I know where her father is. It's just that simple. It's called reverse whatever. So understanding this probability, the great womb is what created the sun. From the blackness is what came the sun. These are two magnetic forces, okay? Even though the great womb is anchored by the possibility of just being from the divine creation inside of space, not outside of space, because it's not of the physical world. It is inside of space. It's in a place that's inverted to the reality, if you want to say. The shortest words I can use to try to explain that idea. So what happens is the beads that are circulating, we call them, they look like planets to us in some aspect, but it's more filled in, and all that stuff has to be blocked out, so you can't really see everything. But really, it's like giant beads. And what happens is this force back here is so heavy, it's actually pulling the solar system like this. It's pulling it. The black hole, she's pulling it, the whole thing, and her sun is trailing her. But it's only because of magnetic force. She's so heavy, and he's heavy. But because they're heavy, you have these circular bodies, these beads that are rotating between them. They're rotating between them because the magnetic force is pulling that. It's pulling the metals in each of the orbs, making them circulate, which makes the force that creates the energy that goes into each individual planet. Now, the sun that's created by the black womb gives off the same energy of purification that came from the black womb that created it, and it feeds the planets. This is how we get the aurora borealis and all that. It comes through our torus field on the earth. Now, after it comes through our torus field and that energy wraps around our earth, it hits the individual people, goes through our torus field, like in Incremental Science 1 and 2, how I explained that. It comes back out and grounded through the earth. After it's grounded through the earth, it's filtered out through the earth and back into the universe. And it has its own pathway that's unbeknownst to us or anything that we can see, because this is celestial omnipower at this point. And it's pulling, the vacuum is pulling that heavy, it's like it's a attraction to that type of energy. And it pulls it back and transmute it. It changes into a form right here to where it is sucked back into the black hole. And then that process is recreated, and that energy swirls down into the black hole and comes back out through the back out of another break through the universe, and is filtered back into the sun. It's kind of like this, like the energy is filtered like this, like over and above, under like this, and then the rings spin around it like this. I'm going to do an illustration on that in Incremental Science 4. But I'll show y'all that process to get more in depth of how the actual motion spins, how the universe is spinning. So while it seems as if planets are going around the sun like this, we're being pulled by the black hole. And everything else, the lighter objects in the back, they're being pulled too. It's like a whole trail. So if you can imagine it this way, this is what it looks like as it's moving through the solar system. But this is spinning around that because this is pulling these. And as they get past because of their own weight, the sun keeps them rotating. This pulls them and the sun keeps them rotating. We know this process because you can get electricity like that here on the earth with simple magnets and copper wire and other minerals. So understanding that this is how the rotation of the universe happens. It's self-sustaining. It's omni-sustaining cycle energy. It sustains itself by its own detriment, like by its own, I said detriment, by its own, what is it called? By its own defecation, by its own breakdown, you know what I'm saying? By its own excrement. All the excrement of the universe comes back out and is refiltered back through the mother or the great womb and fed into the sun, and the sun feeds all the beads that circulate, and it keeps that motion so we can move forward. If something traumatic was to happen in all the life that exists on each plane or each bead of existence, because there's different life forms that are in different molecular situations, and each bead that exists around the whole of the sun, if all that life was to die, then instantly the sun would die and the black hole would suck it all back in just to have it recreated back out and replaced. It will never go nowhere. This is omni-sustaining cycle energy. Omni-sustaining cycle energy. Divine don't make no mistakes. People do. So since the grandeur vision of what the universe is actually taking place, when NASA and all of them look at it and they think they know what they're talking about, it's so large to them. They don't know. They're looking out like, oh, we're just gonna do. You don't even know what you're looking at. You don't know how to concept the value of the universe yet, or even. And the reason why I can sit in meditation and separate when I meditate, I see the universe spinning in my head. Sometimes as soon as I close my eyes, I see a universe and I can see it, and it's just spinning. It's slow. It's going like this. As soon as I close my eyes, I might not be looking at nothing. When I close my eyes and I see a universe just spinning, and it's magnificent. It's just spinning in the middle of my joint. And I look at it and I can see like the whole thing. And I'm like, wow, this just started happening probably like over the last 7 months. Like I always meditated. I always been in a meditative state. I would do these things over a period of years. And I would see different things when I get into this meditation aspect. But this time around, whatever the universe is doing now, I see a whole universe spinning. Every time I close my eyes, I ain't even got to get into the meditation state. It's already there. Sometimes I can be laying down and I ain't even in a meditative state, but I see the way it's posting. It's like I'm already in alpha, or I'm in the highest form of meditation at that point. It's just giving off. I'm not even trying to meditate. I might be doing something else and I'll feel it kick on by itself. Like whatever's happening, it's starting to work by itself. And y'all need to be aware of this universal energy that's taking place and utilize it. Because the world is going to be trying to pull you back. Go back to Incremental Science 2. I'm telling you how this works. You already know the vibes. Naga. Incremental Science, Part 3.